Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, we are jumping straight into a really dense and frankly critical topic today. We're looking at the Alabama prison system, its systemic collapse, really, and a pretty detailed proposal aimed at, well, pulling it back from the brink.
Exactly. Our mission here is sort of twofold. First, we absolutely have to get our heads around the sheer scale of this crisis. We're talking staggering violence, profound neglect. It's bad. And second, we need to analyze this proposed four-level solution. It's ambitious. It's not just a quick fix for federal mandates. It's more like a radical attempt to redefine what incarceration even means, trying to refurbish people into productive members of society.
And when you say crisis, I mean, we've seen some of this evidence. Images, videos posted by incarcerated people themselves. You see the overcrowding, the sexual assaults, the drug use, physical violence. It's all documented. You just can't ignore it.
And that chaos is precisely why the feds got involved. The Department of Justice looked into the ADOC, the Alabama Department of Corrections, specifically the men's facilities. Their conclusion, pretty damning. They fundamentally fail to protect prisoners from violence, including sexual abuse, and they don't provide constitutionally safe conditions. That demands a massive overhaul.
To really grasp the scale, let's look at a key statistic. Alabama's incarceration rate. 861 adults per 100,000 people. That puts Alabama number 5 globally, not just in the U.S., but globally among countries and states. Higher than the U.S. average, and compared to other stable democracies, it's just off the charts.
Right.
It really sets the stage for why such drastic measures are even on the table.
Absolutely. And this proposal, it targets that severity head on.
Yeah.
It lays out a pathway, this comprehensive four-level thing focused on counseling, spiritual awareness, education, job training, and, crucially, changing the whole culture inside. It demands a new purpose for the time people serve.
Okay, so let's unpack that crisis first. Section 1. The violence, the drugs, the stats. Where do we start? The violence seems unavoidable.
Yeah, the numbers are grim. Since October 2016, sources confirm 18 reported homicides of people in ADOC custody.
18. And a ratio. That's what really tells the story, isn't it?
It really does. Alabama's prison homicide ratio is 30 per 100,000. Now, compare that to the national average for state prisons, which is 5 per 100,000.
30 versus 5.
Exactly. It means Alabama has the highest prison homicide rate in the entire country. An inmate is 6 times more likely to be murdered inside an Alabama prison than in the average U.S. facility.
6 times. And it's not just homicides. There's this palpable despair inside. The sources point to a sharp rise in other crises. Like September 2018 alone, 7 completed suicides and 40 attempted suicides in 1 month.
40 attempts. That level of self-harm, it just screams chaos, right? A deadly environment, totally lacking effective oversight or, frankly, any real intervention.
So what's fueling it? You mentioned drugs earlier.
Yeah, that's problem number 1, you could say. An uncontrolled drug epidemic. There's online evidence showing rampant illegal drug use, including this deadly stuff called flakka. It's a dangerous synthetic stimulant, sometimes called gravel. It leads to severe psychosis, even deaths among inmates.
And the treatment, or lack thereof.
That's the shocking part. In 2017, ADOC itself estimated that 75 to 80% of its population, that's like 16,000 to 17,000 people, reported having substance abuse problems.
Huge numbers.
Massive. But get this, the vast majority got no help. Over 80% of those needing treatment did not receive it that year. Only about 846 people even enrolled in a program, and just under 2,000 completed one. When 3/4 of your people are struggling with addiction, and you fail over 4/5 of them, well, you basically built instability and violence into the system itself.
And that instability, it's made worse by overcrowding, right? Our sources link that directly to the violence and why reforms keep getting delayed.
Definitely. Overcrowding is a major root cause.
And we should probably remember the context outside the prisons, too. Alabama had the 8th highest overall crime rate in the U.S. back in 2017. Cities like Bessemer, Birmingham. They were showing up on lists of the top 100 most dangerous cities. So, high crime outside keeps feeding this overcrowded, violent system inside. It's a cycle.
A vicious cycle. Which brings us to how you even begin to change things. Section 2 is about shifting the culture staff, structure, parole.
Right, because the system doesn't run itself. It relies on the staff, the correctional officers.
And they're suffering too. You could argue they're essentially serving time right alongside the inmates. Think about this comparison. An officer aiming for full retirement might spend minimum almost 6 years just plogging in and out of that environment. The national average prison term served is about 2 years and 1 month.
Wow. So an officer could spend nearly 3 times the average sentence just working there.
Exactly. It really reframes who's being impacted by this toxic environment. If it's bad for inmates, it's definitely toxic for staff. Leads to huge turnover, burnout, fatigue.
Makes sense. So what does the proposal suggest for the officers? How do you fix that?
It's sort of twofold. First, make the workplace safer. They actually use the term deprisonizing the environment. Make it less like a war zone. Second, offer real competitive incentives. Better pay, for one, to reduce the temptation for smuggling contraband. Also things like workplace flexibility options for 3, 4, or 5-day work weeks, but with full benefits. Free college tuition through state community colleges, and importantly, on-site wellness programs, employee assistance programs. Treat it like the high-stress, vital job it is.
Okay, so supporting the staff is key. But what about the culture for the incarcerated population? The proposal talks about a complete change in mindset.
Yeah, it argues you can't treat people like animals and then expect them to re-enter society successfully. It pushes for defining positive values, making sure there's accountability, and even, interestingly, changing the physical look and feel of the place.
How so? Like beyond just being safer.
Yes, physical changes as psychological tools. The idea is you change the environment, you can change behavior. So things like putting positive affirmations on the walls, inspirational quotes from people like Les Brown or Richard Bach, trying to shift the whole institutional vibe away from just despair and degradation towards accountability and thinking about the future.
Positive affirmations on the walls. I mean, given the violence and drugs we just talked about, that sounds maybe a little idealistic. How does the proposal make sure that's not just, window dressing?
That's a fair question. And I think the answer lies in how it connects to parole reform. That's where the real teeth are. The pass out has to be structured and has to be earned. Right now, the system's overwhelmed. There's a 3-member parole board handling, on average, 29 pardon parole considerations every single day.
29 a day for 3 people. That's impossible.
It's crushing. And maybe not surprisingly, about 60% of parole considerations have been denied over the last 5 years. They just can't cope.
Okay, so the proposal solution is
a prerequisite system. Basically, you have to earn your parole hearing. The board should only see the files of people who've actually demonstrated they're ready.
What does that mean? What are the requirements?
There are minimum thresholds. You have to successfully complete mandatory counseling, finish basic educational requirements like a GED, show a strong work ethic, have adequate savings built up, and critically, maintain a clean disciplinary record specifically. No write-ups for 2 years straight before you even qualify for that hearing.
So the board evaluates success stories, not just manages a caseload.
That's the goal. Ensure they're looking at people who've actively participated in their own rehabilitation.
Okay, this earned freedom idea, it seems baked into the 4-level structure you mentioned earlier. Let's get into that. Section 3, the path to reentry. Level 1 is revive.
Yep, revive. That's the starting point for everyone. Bare minimum accommodations. The focus right away is accountability and therapy. Things like cognitive behavioral therapy, guided self-help.
And you mentioned structure.
Very structured. Because structure fights chaos. The daily routine is intense. 5 a.m. spiritual meditation, 6 a.m. physical training. It's about enforcing discipline, cutting down idle time that breeds trouble. To move up, you need successful counseling completion in 6 months with 0 disciplinary actions.
Okay, 6 months clean, therapy done. Then what? Level 2.
Level 2, rebuild. Here, the living conditions improve a bit, you get more recreational activities, but the main focus shifts hard towards education and practical skills. They plan to work directly with the Alabama Community College system for GEDs or even associate's degrees.
And the trade training.
That's mandatory. All able-bodied individuals must learn a marketable skilled trade. The environment itself becomes part of the training, for instance, the cafeteria. It'll be staffed entirely by inmates in the culinary arts program. Real practical experience. You complete your training or degree, stay clean for 1 year, then you move up again.
Right. Level 3, renew. This sounds like a big shift, physically too.
Huge shift. We're talking 2-person rooms now, and get this, no bars.
No bars. In a prison.
It's a key psychological strategy, borrowed from modern prison models, like in Scandinavia. The idea is de-escalation through normalization and trust, more like minimum security housing. The focus here also shifts from basic counseling to more like coaching work ethic, socialization skills. And people start earning real living wages through programs like PIE, Prison Industry Enhancement, where they can work for private companies or standard work release.
And level 3 also brings in spousal visits.
Yeah, it proposes that option, citing research suggesting that maintaining healthy relationships can significantly cut down on sexual violence inside. To get to the final level, you need to show proficiency in your trade and have 2 full years with no disciplinary issues.
Okay, 2 years, clean, stilled up, then level 4, reinforce and release.
Exactly. This takes place in a modern facility, specifically modeled after successful international systems, like the Norwegian model you mentioned. It prioritizes rehabilitation, reducing institutional violence through trust. The goal here is mastery, becoming master tradesmen, and getting everything sorted for re-entry into society.
So the focus shifts again to practical life skills.
Totally. Seminars on financial planning, soft skills for interviews and jobs. There's even an option to pursue a master's degree for those who are qualified.
And the release itself is not just walking out the door, right?
Absolutely not. There's a rigorous 11-step plan. It covers securing all the essentials before release, getting your ID, birth certificate, opening a bank account, securing housing, building a professional resume, and critically, confirming actual job placement. The idea is to knock down every single immediate barrier to success the moment they step outside.
Okay, that's comprehensive. Let's talk about the impact. Section 4, the economic and societal benefits. You mentioned work being mandatory.
Yes, for all able-bodied individuals. It's framed not just as cost savings, but also for boosting self-esteem, giving purpose, contributing something while serving time.
And the cost savings are significant.
The numbers suggest so. Back in 2017, ADOC spent about $52 a day per person. This proposal estimates a working inmate could cut that cost by roughly 30%, contributing to their own upkeep.
30%. And what about the individual? What's the goal for them financially when they leave?
Well, the potential goal is pretty striking. The proposal suggests someone working consistently for, say, 5 years could leave with not just a marketable trade, but maybe around $12,000 in savings. Plus, potentially having paid off restitution to victims and being current on child support if that applies. Imagine leaving prison with skills and savings. That drastically changes your odds.
Yeah, it really shifts the starting point upon release.
And that financial responsibility connects directly to another concept in the plan: restorative justice. It's not just about punishment. It includes components to build awareness and empathy for victims, gives offenders a concrete way to make amends like mandatory contributions to a victim's advocacy fund for counseling or emergency needs.
So pulling it all together, the potential benefits seem huge.
If it works as designed, yes. Lower operating costs for the state, a major drop in prison violence, less drug use, definitely improved conditions. And the big one, reduced recidivism. The core mission is ensuring people leave prison better equipped for life, not just better at crime.
Okay, so we've looked at a system in deep crisis, highest homicide rate in the country, massive drug treatment gaps, just chaos.
Utter chaos.
And we've unpacked this really ambitious 4-level plan: revive, rebuild, renew, reinforce, trying to swap that chaos for structure, purpose, and a clear, earned path back to society. It demands a lot from the incarcerated, but also forces the state to finally meet its obligations for safety and real rehabilitation.
Which leaves us with a pretty important question for you, the listener, to mull over. Given how much this reform model banks on mandatory job training, they list like 21 trades, everything from computer programming to culinary arts to being an electrician, and demands people save significant money before release, how might forcing work and financial self-sufficiency during incarceration fundamentally change the relationship between those inside and the society they have to rejoin?